10 Real-life giants from history. Giants are regular characters in fairy tales and folklore. However, there were real-life giants that once lived here on Earth. They were exceptionally tall with heavy weights and voracious appetites to match. In most instances, they end up with life-threatening ailments as their bodies could no longer support their height and weight. Too often, they were regarded as circus exhibits and a jumble of statistics rather than humans who had the same wishes and dreams for their lives as the rest of us. Fyodor Makhnov. Fyodor Makhnov was born in Kashuki, in today's Belarus, on June 1878. He started growing rapidly at 8 and measured 200 centimeters, 6'7", when he was 14. He wore custom-made clothes and shoes and slept on a custom-made bed. His boots reached the waist of normal-sized people, and children often hid inside his boots when playing hide-and-seek. Makhnov joined the circus when he was 14 but started performing at 16. Although sources vary about his height, he would later reach approximately 250 centimeters, 8 feet 2 inches, as he grew into adulthood. Scientists often met him to ask for contracts for ownership of his corpse, but he always refused over fears that he could be murdered. He later married Efrosynja Lebedeva, who was 100 centimeters, 3 feet 3 inches, shorter than him even though she was taller than most women. They had a girl and 3 boys. Makhnov had a huge appetite. Every day, he consumed a hefty breakfast of 20 eggs, 8 loaves of bread, and 2 liters (0.5 gallons) of tea. For lunch, he consumed 1 kilogram (2.2 pounds) of potatoes, 2.5 kilograms (5.5 pounds) of meat, and 3 liters (0.8 gallons) of beer. For dinner, he managed a loaf of bread, 15 eggs, and 1 liter (0.3 gallons) of milk. He died in 1912 at age 34. Adam Rainer. Adam Rainer was born in Graz, Austria to average-sized parents in 1899. When WW1 broke out, Rainer tried to enlist in the army, but at 4 feet 6.3 inches tall, he was deemed too short and weak. A year later, Rainer tried again, and although he had grown a full 2 inches, the army rejected him once more on the basis of his height. Standing 4 feet 8.3 inches tall at the age of 19, Rainer was considered a dwarf, being nearly 2 inches below the cutoff 4 feet 10 inches. Although he was short, medical reports from the period state that Rainer had abnormally large hands and feet for his height. When he first tried to enlist in the army, he wore shoes sized US 10, EU 43. 3 years later, his feet had doubled to a size US 20, EU 53, though his height remained relatively static. To put this in perspective, U.S. basketball player, Shaquille O'Neal, wears shoes sized US 23. At the age of 21, all this changed. Rainer, pictured right, suddenly began growing at an alarming pace. Over the next decade, he grew from just under 4 feet 10 inches to a shocking 7 feet 1 inch. During this period, Rainer also began developing a severe spinal curvature. What exactly was the cause behind this growth spurt? Between 1930 and 1931, Rainer was examined by Drs. A. Mandel and F. Windholz, during which time they discovered he was suffering from a condition known as acromegaly. In Rainer's case, this was caused by a tumor on his pituitary gland which led to an overproduction of growth hormones in his body. This was the reason behind his strange appearance, for Rainer didn't just have abnormally large hands and feet. He also had a protruding forehead and jaw, as well as thick lips set over widely spaced teeth. Rainer's health continued to deteriorate. He went blind in his right eye, and began suffering hearing loss in his left ear. Over time, his spinal deformity became so pronounced, Rainer was confined to bed. He died, aged 51, measuring 7 feet 8 inches, though some newspapers reported his height as 7 feet 10 inches. He is the only man in history to be classified as both a dwarf as well as a giant. Anna Heining Bates. Anna Heining Bates was born in Millbrook, Nova Scotia, in August 1846. She was just like every other child until she suddenly started growing taller. At age 5, she was 142 centimeters, 4 feet 8 inches, and weighed over 45 kilograms, 100 pounds. By the time she was 22, she was 229 centimeters, 7 feet 6 inches, and weighed 159 kilograms, 350 pounds. Bates went into show business at age 16. She often appeared with a dwarf standing beside her for greater effect. In July 1865, she was almost burned to death in a fire at Barnum's Museum. The stairs were on fire, and she was too tall to jump out the window. She was saved when employees broke the walls and lifted her out with a crane. In 1871, she met another giant, Martin Van Buren Bates aka the Kentucky Giant, who was 221 centimeters, 7 feet 3 inches, even though he is often said to have been 234 centimeters, 7 feet 8 inches. They got married and were often exhibited in circuses as the largest married couple in the world. Their house was oversized, with 2.6-meter high, 8.5 feet doors and extra-large furniture. The couple had 2 children, but both died at birth. The first, a girl, was 69 centimeters 27 in tall and weighed 8 kilograms 18 pounds. She died soon after birth. The other, a boy, was 76 centimeters 30 in tall and weighed 10 kilograms 23 pounds. He died 11 hours after birth. Bates herself died in 1888 at age 41. Chong Yu Sing in the 1840s, Zhan Shi Chai aka Chong Wu Gao, or Chong Yu Sing, was born in China. He grew to be 236 centimeters, 7 feet 9 inches tall and was appointed a member of the emperor's court. He later left China for England for what was supposed to be a brief visit. But he ended up spending 2 years there. During the time, thousands of people paid 3 shillings just to see him. Zhan went on to tour the rest of Europe and was sometimes exhibited alongside a dwarf. In 1881, he joined P.T. Barnum's circus. He had lots of female admirers and was often asked if he was married. Zhan died in 1893. According to his wishes, his funeral was attended by only 50 friends. His coffin was 2.6 meters, 8.5 feet long. Joseph Edouard Beaupre Joseph Edouard Beaupre was born in Willow Bunch, Saskatchewan, on January 9, 1881. His parents were of average height. So was he until age 3 when he started growing abnormally. By the time he was 9, he had outgrown his parents. At 12, he was 198 centimeters, 6 feet 6 inches, and at 17, he was 216 centimeters, 7 feet 1 inch. It was at this age that he lifted a 363 kilogram, 800 pounds horse. Beaupre continued growing, reaching 251 centimeters, 8 feet 3 inches in 1904. He wore gigantic, custom-made, size 22 shoes. He tried to become a cowboy. But he dumped the plans because his feet touched the ground while he was on his horse. At 21, he joined a circus. This took its toll on him, and he often had problems sleeping. He also suffered from tuberculosis, which made him cough a lot. He died on July 3, 1904, at age 23 after coughing up blood and becoming unconscious after a performance. The circus refused to pay his burial expenses, and his father, Gaspard, was too poor to afford it. Beaupre's body remained with the undertakers and soon started appearing in store windows and museums. In 1907, his corpse was found in a hangar abandoned by a circus. The body was taken to Montreal University where it was mummified and stored. In 1970, his descendant, Ovila L'Esperance, discovered his body and asked the university to release it for burial. Initially, the university refused over concerns that someone could steal the corpse and display it again. They finally released it, and Beaupre's body was cremated in September 1989, 85 years after his death. Patrick Cotter O'Brien Patrick Cotter was born in Kinsale, Ireland, on January 19, 1760. He grew to be 246 centimeters, 8 feet 1 inch, making him the first of 13 known people to grow past 244 centimeters, 8 feet 0 inches. At 18, he worked as a bricklayer. He did not need a ladder to reach the top of cottages like the rest of his colleagues. Instead, he just stretched his hand to do whatever he wanted to do. He later went into show business where he called himself O'Brien, after several fabled tall Irish kings. Cotter moved around in a specially made carriage. Once, the carriage was stopped by a highwayman who fled upon seeing Cotter inside. His exceptional weight took its toll on his body, leading to his death on September 8, 1806, at age 46. Arthur Cayley was born in Sulby, Isle of Man, in 1824. He was of normal size until his late teens when he suddenly started growing taller. He reached 241 centimeters, 7 feet 11 inches, and weighed over 178 kilograms, 392 pounds. This earned him the name, the Manx Giant. Unlike most giants, he was not tall and slim because he also increased in width. Cayley frequently appeared in exhibits in Manchester, London, and Paris before suddenly disappearing. His mother said that he was dead and buried. Some doubted this because his life had been insured for £2,000 only a few weeks earlier. They believed that his supposed death was an insurance fraud and that a tree had been buried in his place. In reality, Cayley was not dead. He had traveled to the U.S. where he joined P.T. Barnum's circus. He was exhibited as Colonel Ruth Goshen, the Arabian giant. His former life as the Manx giant remained a well-kept secret until his death in 1889. Robert Wadlow was born on February 22, 1918. He was of normal size at birth but quickly started growing. At 5, he was already 163 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, and wearing clothes intended for teenagers. At 8, he was taller than his 180 centimeter tall, 5 feet 11 inches father and could even carry him up the stairs of their home. When Robert joined the Boy Scouts at 13, he had his uniform, tent, and sleeping bag specially made for him. Wadlow reached 245 centimeters, 8 feet 1 inch, at 17, making him the tallest teenager ever. In 1936, he joined the Ringling Brothers Circus as a curiosity. He had a huge appetite and ate 8,000 calories a day. Unfortunately, he had problems walking. Wadlow often wore braces on his legs and used a walking stick. Nevertheless, he continued growing. This became a problem when he received a poorly fitted brace in 1940. Just 1 week later, the brace caused a blister on his ankle that quickly became infected. The infection killed him on July 15, 1940. He was just 22. His coffin was 3.3 meters 10.8 feet long, 81 centimeters 32 in wide, and 76 centimeters 30 in deep. The last time Wadlow was measured was in June 27, 1940, when he was 272 centimeters 8 feet 11 inches. His hands and feet were 32.3 centimeters 12.7 in and 47 centimeters 18.5 in long, respectively, making them the longest ever. Bernard Coyne, aka Bernard the Giant, was born in Anthon, Iowa, on July 27, 1897. His height is disputed. Some say he was 249 centimeters 8 feet 2 inches, others say he was 254 centimeters 8 feet 4 inches, and still more say he was 264 centimeters 8 feet 8 inches. Whichever it was, he was over 244 centimeters 8 feet 0 inches, which was so tall that he was rejected by the army during World War I. Unlike most other extremely tall people whose unusual heights are caused by abnormalities in the pituitary gland, Bernard's height resulted from eunuchoidal infantile gigantism, a rare syndrome. His parents placed him on exhibit for money when he was younger but stopped over fears that they might incur God's wrath. Bernard turned down several requests to exhibit himself as he grew older and preferred living a quiet life. His shoes were a massive size 24, and he weighed 136 kilograms 300 pounds. He died on May 20, 1921, at age 23. Thank you for watching.